and hear things because they heard that it was going to be recorded. So, I guess they figured other people would ask the same questions they would ask. And so it's your responsibility, you guys, to ask the questions that everybody needs to know the answers to.
So should we start with intros and a
Sure.
slideshow?
Sure.
All right, let me share my screen. And ta-da. Can you guys see the slideshow?
Yep.
Because I can't see you guys anymore. So I'm Spencer Mass, and I'm a biologist, and I'm also an alum of New Paltz. I went here back when the Flintstones were still alive. And I'm an MD, and I do all the pre-medical stuff. And I also run the dual degree programs. And I work very closely with Dr. Nolan.
And that's me, I guess. That's what it says right here. I'm a biologist. I'm a PhD. I'm not a medical doctor, but I have advised pre-medical students in pre-health career preparation since I was at the University of Miami, starting about in 1987. I've been here since 1997 and been involved in the dual degree programs as well. So probably can answer a lot of questions. And if I can't answer questions and Dr. Mass can't answer questions and our students can't answer questions, we can certainly find out the answers eventually to anything you have. But hopefully these are easy questions.
All right, so I did prepare a slideshow. It's brief and it's brutal because you guys are spending money and time and have high aspirations. So I don't see beating around the bush. So don't get all depressed at the beginning couple of slides. It does end on a happy note. But the hardest part of my job is to make sure that everybody is aware of exactly what you guys are getting yourselves into. So let's do a little reality check. All right. I just went up and updated these numbers today. The current medical school admission stats are less than 42% of qualified pre-medical students will successfully get into medical school. And when I say qualified, I mean lots of people apply, but they don't actually have the numbers to make it through the screening process. So we're really only looking at qualified students, all right? This is the one thing that you can choose to do with your life where there is no guaranteed positive outcome. And you need to know that. So you could tell me you want to go to law school and you could have a 2.8 GPA and we'll find a law school that will take your money and you'll be a JD. That is not true for medical school. It is still the most elite sandbox. The only thing I can think of that's harder to do probably would be to become an astronaut. And I'm not saying that to pat myself on the back. That's just, that's the way it is. So when we walk into the Gen Bio classroom on the first day of class and we say, how many of you want to be doctors? And 80 people out of 120 raise their hand. About 2 or 3 of them will be successful at the end of 4 years and have the qualifications to apply to medical school. The other thing, so most pre-meds will not go. All right, the other thing that you need to know is that you're too young really to be competitive at 22 these days. It's not like it was when I was a kid. The average first-year medical student is over 25, and college graduates are being swept aside by people that have PhDs and law degrees and architects and investment bankers and blah, 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 or nurses and PAs and other people who have a decade of professional experience. So you'll be very young if you do get in at 22. and it's very difficult to get in at 22. And the other thing that I got to tell you is, no matter how many times I tell people, don't be reading that stuff on Reddit and all those YouTube channels about how I got into medical school, because it's mostly nonsense. And despite what they may tell you and what you hear, the fact remains that numbers determine outcomes. No amount of volunteer work, service, experience, good intentions will change the poor numbers. If you don't have the numbers, you're not going to go. All right. So the other thing I want to emphasize, although I'm assuming you're all here for pre-med, is that we don't have a pre-health program at New Paltz. We don't offer any allied health degrees. We don't offer any majors or specialized tracks. We don't have a nursing program. We don't have a pre-PA program or anything like that. And we don't teach human-related vocational classes that you would find at community colleges and at health science centers, that those kinds of professional programs would require as prereqs. So if you're interested in something other than a doctoral degree, I would suggest that you really consider that maybe New Paltz is not a good fit. You can do it. People do it all the time. I just had 2 students who came here to go to medical school, just couldn't really do it. And they just graduated from Stony Brook's BSN program, but they had to go take classes elsewhere to get their prerequisites so that they could do that successfully. And that costs money and time. The other thing is, we don't even really have an official pre-med program. So if you're looking for something that is going to spoon feed you the whole way through, that's not what New Paltz is about. We don't have a degree in biomedical sciences or anything like that. And that's for practical and philosophical reasons, because we know that it's so hard to get in and most people won't succeed. What could you do with your life if you have a biomedical or a pre-med degree? Not a lot. If you have a degree in one of the traditional majors, then you've got the whole world at your, fingertips. You can go to grad school, you can go get a job, you can work in industry. There's all kinds of things you can do. But if you went to college just to go to medical school and you have a degree that's specialized in that and you don't get in, then you're kind of in a really bad place. And finally, because I always get students that come to me in September and October and want to join our 7-year programs, those are completely closed off to matriculated students. You have to apply to that program as a high school senior, and there are very stringent requirements to get into that. All right. Now, on to the good stuff. I would say, both as an alum and as a current professor, that New Paltz is a fantastic place to prepare for professional school. It's got a very robust history as a small liberal arts college, which we try to maintain. There are very few classes that you're going to be in that have more than, 24 people in it, and that pretty much ends after your freshman or sophomore year. We have strong academic preparation in any major. We have dedicated advising and support for pre-med. I would say it's less robust for dental, vet, and optometry, but I'm just being honest. And, I get maybe 1 or 2 students that want to go to dental school every couple of years, and most of them are successful. But the vast majority of what we do is working with people that want to get an MD or a DO. Our acceptance statistics are on par with the nationwide averages. I just recalculated this. We went down to about 41%. The nationwide went down to 42%. So I'm, very pleased that we are within, certainly within the error bar for that. And the other thing you should know is that if you do need to take a gap year, or if you can't get in right away and you decide to go do something else for a while and you want to come back and do this again, I or whoever is here doing my job will support you. We support our alum for gap year and reapplication purposes, and not everybody does that. And I was just telling our students that, it was match day last week, or 2 weeks, no, last week. And, we have everybody I know that graduated from medical school matched. And we have students in medical schools all over the place. The Northeast predominates. SUNY is very popular because of the cost benefits. It's about $21,000 a year to go to upstate, for instance, versus $90,000 to go to most private schools per year, which is very attractive, but also makes them extremely competitive. But we have students at all kinds of universities, and I'm very proud of each and every one of them. Oh, and I left off of here that we do have residents at UMass right now too. I should have put that on there. So if we don't have a pre-med program, what is pre-med at New Paltz? Well, I like to say it's a state of mind. You're not going to join a program where we meet or that there are certain requirements or something like that. You're going to self-identify as somebody that wants to go to medical school. You're going to contact me or Dr. Nolan as soon as you possibly can and get on our radar. And then we're going to work with you to support you through that. And it'll start off very casually because you need to demonstrate to us that you have the mettle to do this. And then once you have demonstrated that you can get those grades and that you are committed to this, we commit more and more to you. And you can major in anything. You don't need, it's a total bad myth that you need to be a biology or a chemistry major to go to medical school. As a matter of fact, I would say strategically, unless there are very specific reasons for doing that, like I love biology or I love chemistry, that's actually a strategically bad move, because if you think about the average vanilla medical school applicant, they are a mediocre biology major, vanilla cookie cutter. The admissions office has a stack 3 meters high of biology majors. And then there's a stack with 25 English majors and 8 history majors and a couple of art majors. Who do you think is going to get a closer look? The other thing that I constantly emphasize is that medicine is the most humanistic of all professions that you can think about. The last thing we need is another pocket protector, strap-on calculator wearing physician that can't make eye contact. You need to read Shakespeare. You need to be educated broadly and deeply if you're going to be a good clinician. So you can major in anything you want. It's certainly more convenient to major in bio or chem because all the cognates are going to be, when I say cognates, I mean things like organic chemistry and physics. You're going to have to take those anyway to get those majors. But you could be an English major or a psychology major and take all those classes as well. There are only 12 to 16 classes. And the reason I gave a range is that most people don't get to take all of these classes in preparation for the MCAT. but you could if you wanted to, and you can take those with any major. The other thing that I like to emphasize, and I think Dr. Nolan is also very keen on this, is that we have strived to get rid of that cutthroat pre-med culture that infects so many undergraduate institutions, especially the larger ones, where the pre-med cohorts are literally climbing over each other's bodies to get to the top, to claw their way to the top, because they have committees that won't write them letters unless they meet certain criteria, yada, yada, yada. We can talk about that some other time. But we don't do that here. We try to instill a sense of community. And I think that most of our students get along with each other and they work together and they're supporting each other. And, you know, it's a small community of people that are dedicated to a similar outcome. And I think it works really well. And that's the way I'd like to keep it. We also have lots of opportunities for students to do enrichment. But I would emphasize to you, and the students can corroborate this, and I'm always saying this, you don't do that stuff until you've demonstrated to yourself and to me that you can hack it. You've got to be able to get A's. You've got to be able to do well academically. Once you know that you can handle college, then there are plenty of cool opportunities to do research, scholarly and creative stuff, you know, student activities. We do have some medical enrichment programs that we ran before COVID and that I'm planning on for post-COVID, and we're going to be ramping that up. They are primarily for our 7-year medical students, but I'm trying to bring in more stuff for the general pre-med population. So by the time you're ready to go, if you've played your cards right and you've done everything that you need to do, you will have a good curricular transcript and a great co-curricular transcript and be able to, you know, put together a decent application. And that's really all I want to get across to you folks. I hope to see you guys in the fall. And if you have questions for us or for our students, now's the time. Here's the contact information for myself and Dr. Nolan. And if you'd like a list of the students that are present, I can provide that under separate cover after I get their permission. So just get in touch with me and I'll send that to you. And now I'm going to try to get back to the Zoom meeting. There we go. So was that comprehensible? Did I answer some questions? Did I provoke some more? Did I scare you? People tell me I'm intimidating, but I'm really a big teddy bear. All right, I'm shutting up.
All right, why don't we take some questions? Anything.
Now's the time for you to participate. I feel like I'm teaching a class right now.
Yes, it's kind of like a seance.
Oh.
Is anybody out there? Knock twice.
Hello, Diana. We didn't meet you before. How are you today?
Trying to find them.
Hi there.
Button.
Yes, I was. Hi, I emailed both of you today regarding my daughter Olivia. So thank you.
Oh, okay.
I only caught the second half because I'm actually working today, but I just kind of snuck away for a bit to try and catch as much of this as I could. So
I sent you the slideshow via email.
I did get that and I looked through it. So yeah, that's great. So luckily for your video, for the Zoom meeting, I only caught the positives and not all the negatives.
Well, I don't see any reason not to be honest, and the statistics tell the story, but the students never want to hear it. So
Right. It's not going to happen to me. I mean, this was a much better way to do it than the way they did it to us when I was a student in a class of a 800 in general biology. They basically said, look to your left, look to your right. Neither person on either side of you is going to make it as a pre-med. And that meant that I didn't either, because there were people on either side of me. So,
hey, that was exactly the same speech I got as a first-year medical student.
so it carried on. So, I mean, it's important to know how tough it is, but I think that's still good news. The good news is that it's tough that people do it. It's tough that people who do something else are also successful. And a lot of times coming to college is a way to find out what else you might want to do, or to find out that what you thought you wanted to do isn't really that.
I could see that. I was thinking that another one of my hopes would be that even sticking with this whole science program, that even if it doesn't turn into medical school, that there would be a lot of opportunities to be just to discover what else is out there, what other possibilities are there,
Yep, I think that's another reason why I'm such an advocate for traditional majors as opposed to these pre-med majors.
Okay, well, that's good to know too. Yeah, because she's definitely very well-rounded. She loves Shakespeare, actually.
There you go.
That's quite funny.
Has she found, or have you found the PBS program called Upstart Crow?
No.
Oh, it's about Shakespeare. It's a sitcom set in Shakespeare's family anyway. It's hysterical. If you love Shakespeare, you'll love it. If you hate Shakespeare, you'll love it.
Oh, that's good, because I'm on the hate side now.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's hysterical. Anyway, it's the best thing I've seen out of PBS, and that's saying a lot. Anyway, so yeah, there are a lot of things that you're going to get as a student that you didn't know you were going to get, I guess. And you got to grow up, and you got to learn to be a human person before you can be a good doctor or a good scientist or a good historian.
And you should know that my undergraduate degree is in philosophy and political science. I didn't come back to the sciences until after I had worked on Wall Street for a number of years. So, there's truth coming from me. I'm not just making all this crap up.
Well, that is very interesting. Yeah.
All right. So Amani, you haven't said anything. Ramses, you haven't said anything. Rebecca, you haven't said anything. This is all for you guys. Or pardon me, Jessica, you haven't said anything. This is all for you guys. So.
Can you go over what it's like for transfer students?
We can, but you know what? I just got a message from one of my students who's absolutely right, that we should go around and let them introduce themselves to you so you know who you're talking to. And why don't you start, Caitlin? You're muted, right? There you go.
Okay. So I'm Caitlin. I'm a biology major with a minor in deaf studies. This is my senior year. I'm involved in a few things on campus. If you have any questions, I was a student ambassador, so I can answer any questions about pretty much anything on campus. I also do research with a professor, a limnologist, so I can answer stuff about research, and I'm the president of a club on campus too. So anything like club related, I can kind of answer any questions that you might have.
Great. Delilah, you want to go next?
Hey, I'm Delilah. I'm a sophomore. I'm a bio major with a concentration in integrative bio, which is basically just not a concentration. It's just looking at everything. I'm on the swim team, so if anybody is planning on being an athlete, I can answer some questions there. But yeah.
Shayna, you're next.
Hi, I'm Shayna. I'm a freshman, and I plan to be a biology major, so I kind of was in the same boat as you guys a couple months ago. So yeah.
All right, Alina.
Hi, everyone. My name is Alina. I'm a second year here, and my major is cellular biology, and I'm minoring in sociology. I'm I'm part of the BSDO program as well, so if anyone has any questions about that, I can answer.
Siri.
Hello, I am in my 4th year, my final year at New Paltz. I am a biology major as well with a double minor in chem and French. I'm also on e-board for a few different clubs, so if you have questions, I can also answer. I also am involved in research, so if you have other questions on that, I can answer as well. And yeah, that's about it.
Did you do global medical brigades?
Yes, I am the president of Global Medical
I thought
Brigade.
so. I thought so. I should know that because I'm the advisor, but do you want to talk about that for a minute? Because I think that's a really cool thing.
Sure. So Global Medical Brigades is, well, SUNY New Paltz Global Medical Brigades is a chapter here at SUNY New Paltz that is part of a larger organization called Global Brigades, and we are the healthcare side of it. And so our mission for each year is to fundraise for a brigade that we go on in May, and also to spread awareness about global health and outreach, and also all that kind of different stuff. But Global Brigades right now is a little bit difficult because of COVID. And I'm hoping in the next year that it will be a lot better and you guys can finally go on your brigade trips. But as of right now, that is not the case.
But
So,
where have you gone? Where have you
Oh,
gone?
I have gone on 2 global brigade trips, and both of them were in Honduras. I went my freshman year and my sophomore year. My sophomore year, the second time I went, was one of the best experiences I've ever had. I highly, highly suggest joining this club, even if you're not, I mean, this is a pre-med meeting, but say that you're not interested in pre-med anymore, you realize this is not your path. I still highly suggest you come on to these trips and also join the club so you can get a different perspective on the world, and go on a service trip to, gain some new perspective and, put yourself out there in a different space. Yeah.
By the way, that's another thing I talked to one of our graduates about on Monday when I had lunch with her. Catherine went to Vietnam twice and to Spain once on her own.
Yeah.
She's not from a privileged background. She was able to cobble this together like any normal middle-class person and got to volunteer abroad. Tianyu volunteered in China. I got a letter of recommendation from his mentor in Chinese that I had to get translated when I was putting his letters together.
That's amazing.
So there are opportunities like Global Brigades, which I'm very much an advocate of, but there are also opportunities for independent people that want to just reach out and carpe diem.
Totally. I really think that New Paltz is a great place where you can get a lot of different opportunities. And because it's such a small school, I think that really plays to your advantage because you can develop really close personal relationships with your professors who are the gateway to these amazing opportunities and to a lot of the opportunities that I had at New Paltz. So yeah.
So I'd like to ask Jessica what your question was about transfer students.
Yeah, so I'm coming in the fall as a transfer student. It's my 4th time in college. But I just kind of wanted to know basic process, what it kind of looks like or how it looks different coming in.
Where are you coming from? And where are
Um,
you at in your studies?
So in May, I'll get my associates in individual studies from Ulster County. And then I'm coming in.
I'm going to let Dr. Nolan deal with that because he's the dean and he knows all the bureaucratic stuff that I try never to learn.
Well, for a transfer student wanting to go on and study and apply to medical school, I guess that's what you're interested in. Or are you thinking of a other health related area?
Medical school.
Okay, so you're still going to take, or you're still going to have to present to the medical school, general biology, chemistry, organic chemistry, physics, and all of that. So depending on what you've done already, that'll determine what you need to do now. So where are you in your math?
I've taken calculus 1. That's my
Okay.
highest math.
Okay, so
I
you're
would
in a good
highly
place.
recommend that you do Calc 2 over the summer before you get here. I'm
Just
sorry.
get it out of the way if you
Get it
can.
done.
So
Yeah.
I wanted to, but I'm working full time right now, and they don't offer a class that I can go to.
So
Okay,
we're teaching it online in July. So just putting it out there.
just throwing it out. Yeah.
I'll look into it.
I mean, the only reason to do that is it allows you to take a few other things sooner than later. But I would say that your background already is good. You'll be fine. Have you taken general biology?
I have taken general bio, and I'm taking human bio this year.
Okay. Have you taken general chemistry?
I have not. No,
Okay.
okay.
So you're going to do general chem, and probably you'll take genetics. And we'll talk. We're definitely going to, you'll probably contact one of us, to probably me, or somebody in, if you're thinking to actually major in biology, which is probably a little bit easier to do. Are you being admitted as a biology student, as a transfer?
So maybe as a chem student.
Okay, that's even better. So see if you got gen bio. We'll talk. We can talk. But yeah, definitely you're going to do, I mean, in
Okay.
terms of, it's always good to have genetics, but med schools don't necessarily say you have to have the course, but you probably want to know something about it more
Yeah.
than just what's in general biology.
Who's
But
taking the MCAT here and can talk about what you
yeah,
really
that's a good
need
idea. It's
to-
better than me pontificating for sure. Who's done the MCAT, and did you have any questions on ecology, evolution, and genetics?
or cell bio, or or even if there weren't questions on it, did those classes help you in any way get ready for the MCAT?
I think cell bio at New Paltz is particularly useful for the MCAT because of the way that Professor Waldo teaches her class. She makes you read, well, her class is super, her class for cell bio and genetics is super analytically based. So all of the questions aren't facts or anything like that. You have to think really clearly. And you have to think about things, based off of the concepts, not just based on fact. And so I think in that regard, it really helps with the MCAT in order to think analytically and solve those types of questions. And also it helps to read those really long passages on MCAT as well.
We
Caitlin,
usually recommend.
I see you nodding your head.
Yeah, as I say, I completely agree. Genetics especially was really helpful. I think, like Siri said, just kind of getting used to that kind of material and kind of thinking in that way, since MCAT is really big on having to first understand that passage, and it's not just like, oh, like, what is this? Another class I found super helpful, I took Comparative Vertebrate Anatomy. That was pretty big on MCAT as well. That I found really helpful. It's not like a required course, but it's something here, the way that it's taught. There's a lot of stuff that I saw on the MCAT while I was taking the course, so pretty cool.
How about the biochemistry?
Biochemistry is huge on the MCAT. So that's definitely a really good course to take.
Sorry, guys, my dog's crazy. Other questions?
Jessica, did we answer all your questions?
Yeah, pretty much. I didn't have
I'll
a lot
tell you
of questions, but I didn't know what to ask.
one thing that you should do is, as soon as possible, you should schedule a meeting to talk to me and make sure that I'm assigned to you as your advisor, so that we can, there's no delay in meshing up. Because once you get here, you're just going to get, the day-to-day is going to take over, and we need to make sure that you keep the big picture in mind. So get in touch as soon as you can.
Yeah, I don't know, how does that process work?
You send me an email and
Right now, if you
yeah,
tonight.
and then set up an appointment, and,
Yeah.
and we can chat.
For those of you who aren't transferring in, and are coming in as a freshman, I want to just remind you to be sure to take seriously the math placement exam. I think once you pay a deposit, if you decide to come and you pay your deposit, you get all the other information you need. And there is an exam called the ALEX exam, and it does a very good job of placing students in the correct math class so that you're in the right class to start the sequence. At least our statistics show that. You guys can tell me if it's not true, the students that are here, but prior to having that, our placement was based on haphazard, estimate of your math ability based on what courses you might have taken, how advanced those courses might have been or might have sounded or something like that. This is much better. And it makes sure that you get placed as high as you're capable of functioning to get done with the math. So don't blow it off. And you get a chance to take it a couple of times, and they actually give you feedback. So if you take it early, you'll have more time to retake it if you need to. And if you don't need to, that's great. But if you need to retake it, or you want to retake it, or you think you can do better, you got to take it early to be able to have enough time to do the retake. So just a warning on that.
100%.
I would entertain questions even from our own students right now.
Does anybody want to like put a few icebreakers out there to maybe get the students who don't really want to talk to ask a question?
I have a question.
Who am I
Go for it.
talking to?
Amani Deja.
Oh, hi, Amani.
Hi. So I'm also a transfer student. I am currently at Dutchess, and I'm going to graduate in May and transfer. I plan on transferring in the fall, but I also am going to be an EOP student, so I will be getting a advisor. How does that work if I want to like be part of this program as well? Like, how does advisors work? Do I switch, or like how does that work?
Well, you'll have an academic advisor, you'll have an EOP advisor, and if you're a biology major, you can have me as your academic advisor. If you're not a biology major, you can have me as a secondary advisor. I've got to be very careful about what I say next, but historically, there have been some issues with EOP has different metrics for success than we do. Their metric is retention. Our metric is excellence. Those are sometimes not aligned, if that makes sense to you. And I am choosing my words very, very carefully. So whatever advice you get from them, come talk to either Dr. Nolan or I before you make decisions, because in the best interests of the students, they have given advice that doesn't work well for pre-meds. It's not that they're not interested in you or that they don't know what they're doing. It's
Not at
just
all. They know what they're doing, but
yeah, they know exactly what they're doing, but they are measured differently than we are and than you will be. So, for instance, they might tell you to avoid taking math because it's hard. Get your sea legs before you do that. Well, if you follow that advice, you'll get your sea legs and you'll be here for 6 years. So that's not a good. I don't want to lose my job, so I'm just going to shut up. Do you kind of get where I'm coming?
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
we need to communicate. So you can talk to several different people to get, the opinions. We do work with EOP, but if they don't know exactly what your plans are, and sometimes they listen to you, but it's that they don't know how seriously maybe you're thinking of doing this versus that, so definitely check anything with your academic advisor, whoever that might end up being. What are you thinking of majoring in?
Biology.
Okay.
Then in all likelihood, I'll be your advisor.
Yeah. Have you done
Okay.
biology already at Dutchess?
Yeah, I've done general bio 1 and 2, and I've done general chemistry 1 and this semester I'm wrapping up 2.
Okay, so I think EOP won't have any worries about you because you've already demonstrated that you're capable of handling all this, and you'll probably be successful. So I'm guessing they'll advise you in all those other important and good ways that they do, but we'll do the academics. You'll be fine.
Yep. And I didn't mean to disparage anybody. I was just saying, make sure you touch base with one of us to make sure that you're making good decisions.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Sure. Ramses, do you have any questions?
A lot of them are been answered by both the PowerPoint and student answers about the MCAT.
Okay.
Diana, do you have any other questions?
I wish Olivia was here to ask the questions, but I know she's going to watch this, so I'm trying not to speak because she's going to cringe when she hears my voice.
Yeah. Well, she can contact us. She can watch this, get what little information she can from it, and then she can contact either Dr. Mass or myself, and we can fill her in. I would say let her, when I figure out how I direct you to the recording, let her watch it, and then she can contact us.
That would be great. One of her interests, by the way, is German as a minor. I know originally she thought there would be a availability for double major, but then we were looking and I'm not sure that it doesn't appear that that's the case. How do you think that would fare as a matchup to pre-med?
It's fine.
I think I know what Dr. Mass is going to say. I think it'd be great. And I think it is possible to double major. If she wanted to do biology, she could do a BA in biology, still have to take a few other courses to be ready for med school, but the BA requires a minor or a second major. And so it has slightly fewer required biology courses and allows for a student to add a minor or a second major. The foreign language major is not extremely high number of credits as a major, but it sort of depends where she starts. So I presume she's taken advanced German or some 3 years, 4 years in junior high, so high school. What do we call it? Middle school now? Yeah.
Actually, no, she didn't take it in
Okay.
school at all, but she lived in Germany for a year. She did an exchange program last year, so her
Okay.
junior year.
Well, it's the lingua franca of science. Or
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's a good thing to. Russian and German were as important as English within my lifetime.
Yeah.
Not anymore.
So it should work fine, especially, depending, how we work it out. But yeah, in any major, you could probably work in a minor in a foreign language and possibly a major. It sort of depends on the primary major. The sciences tend to be kind of high credits, but the BA in biology is about 54 credits, I think, as opposed to engineering, which is well over 100 credits, and that doesn't include general education. So biology is a good choice in that regard if you're going to stay in the sciences. But she could be a German major, just take a bunch of the sciences, maybe even a minor in one of the sciences.
Okay, great. Well, she'll be happy to hear that.
Good.
Any comments from the peanut gallery?
I think I made all my comments.
Alina, Shayna.
Nobody gets that.
Yeah, I
Peanut
know.
gallery reference.
I'm old. Sorry.
You're not even that old.
Well, old enough. How is it being an athlete and a pre-med?
Delilah.
It's like harder than like everybody around me as an athlete who's not pre-med definitely like does not get it. But yeah, so you just have to like make your schedule very tight and you just have to get things done when you have time. So it kind of helps though. I think most athletes do better when they're in season like from what I know, like with their swim team, our GPA is higher in season because you're in that strict schedule and you just have to get everything done.
You're very disciplined.
Yeah.
You know, it was a total awakening for me, if I'm honest. When I first started doing this, I thought it was crazy to be an athlete and a pre-med, but I have found anecdotally that athletes tend to be extremely disciplined and focused, and they can bring that to their studies, and they do really, really well. So I'm a convert.
I think musicians, same thing, that anything where you've been very disciplined, you might not think of it as a sport or music, but anything where you have to be very disciplined to be able to do it, you can build on those skills. You'll need to do it in college, but you're definitely going to need it when you get to med school.
And I'm just going to say, and hopefully some of the students will comment on this, that I think it's a universal experience that, and this is true for transfer students as well. It's more true for incoming freshmen, but it still pertains to transfer students. When you come to a 4-year college, it's going to be a little bit like getting hit in the head with a 2x4. There's an adjustment period, and it's not like high school and it's not like community college. It's a different experience. And there's no time as a pre-med. You can't ramp up. You got to hit the ground running. And you've got to perform from the very first day in order to avoid catastrophic errors. And I don't know how you do that. There's no formula for that. I wish there was, but it's kind of like it varies by maturity and experience and, you know, all kinds of other things. But you really need to, I think, make some connections, and it has to do with family and social and everything else. And I don't know how you guys do it sometimes, because it's so much different than when I was a kid. But I think it's really important that you understand that you can't just show up and expect stuff to happen.
And we often say this when we do our orientation in the summer, although we're going to be doing things a little differently this coming year, but we usually go through like a typical load that you'll have as a student and talk about how much time you spend, how much time you're in class, how much time you spend studying, reading, and everything like that. And a typical, especially pre-med student or a science student in general, the amount of work and time and effort that's expected of you given a full load is at least the same amount of work you put into a full-time job. It's over 40 hours a week. So if you're going to do well, you got to at least take that into account, that it's like a full-time job. And but that means, you know, you can still meet with your friends and still go out to dinner and have fun and have do athletics and do music, but you have to realize that your job is college and the other things that you hang on that. Now, I know some people have to work, and in that case, I recommend, you know, taking a little bit less of a load so that you definitely factor that in. You've got to factor an actual workload with whatever classwork, and we can help you figure out, like, and in some, you know, we have rules of thumb, and there's some requirements the state has for how much time you put into a class for a certain number of credits, how much time outside of the meeting time. And all of that, you know, is a rule of thumb. In the sciences, it's probably a little bit more than that. And in some classes for certain instructors, it may be more or less. And I think Dr. Mass and I can kind of help you a little bit on that, figuring out that, oh yeah, that class takes a lot of extra time. Or
you
that
shouldn't
class.
avoid it. You shouldn't avoid it because
no.
schools want to see that you can handle it.
The worst thing you can do is have a very high GPA and have done that taking a minimal load throughout 5 years of undergraduate study, because that doesn't prove to the medical school that you can handle it when you get to med school. It says that you're able to get A's, but it looks like you had to put a lot of time and effort into doing just studying to be able to get the A's. Now, if you can pull out A's and B's and be extremely busy, be an athlete, be involved in clubs, do all these other things and still pull out A's and B's, that would be a little more impressive. You still have to hit the target GPA and the target MCAT score and all of that. But once you get there, if they look back and see that you have very light loads, you've dropped a lot of classes or withdrawn, and you've taken a lot of classes, pass, fail, SU, those don't help. They're not that important in the long run unless you've done a lot of that. And then it can be problematic. And that's what we do with our advising. We try to prevent you from getting into dig yourself a deep hole.
But the other thing that's really important, there are two things I think that are important to state here. One is that in high school, you learned how to be a sponge. In college, you have to learn how to learn. It's a self-directed, nobody's gonna spoon feed you, especially not in the sciences. And nobody cares about your opinions. You know, this is the real world, and you've got to be able to function in it. And it's really important to get all that done before you go to medical school, because in medical school, your first semester of medical school is going to be like 40 undergraduate credits worth of work. That's almost a whole year. You know, and if and nobody there is going to help you. They're going to tell you what textbook to read and when the exams are. And if you want to go to lecture, go to lecture. And if you don't. You're an adult. Thankfully, biochemistry hasn't changed in about 3 million years. So you can figure this out.
Oh, maybe even 3 billion years. I don't know.
And if you can't figure it out, you're gonna flub. And the time to figure that out is when you are in college or even beforehand. And it's a failing in our educational system that you don't come to college knowing how to do that. But that's a conversation for another time.
Pretty sure Socrates had that conversation. No, you don't get. All right, never mind. Any other questions? I think we could entertain one more. We still have some time. Last minute, think of something you would ask after we click the off button.
I can't believe that the prospective students are outnumbered by existing students.
I have one last question. Can I
Not trying to force you, but go ahead.
Can I ask about diversity within the administrators and professors and everything within, I guess, the science with the pre-med program?
Let's let the students handle that first.
Sure.
Because the professors here are two old white men.
Yeah, we accurately represent the faculty. I mean, there is diversity at the faculty level and administrative level, but it's nowhere near what it is at the student level, which matches society in general. And so we're hoping that as students, graduate and go on, and some of them are going to go into science and academia and everything like that, that level of diversity starts to match much better, the whole society we see around us. But we're not there yet. And we're always apologizing, but we're trying to shepherd it along and everything like that. We do have pretty good number of women in the science positions, except in engineering. Diversity is okay there. I mean, okay everywhere. Engineering is still white male dominated, but we have more females in engineering as students than most campuses. We definitely, and all the other sciences, except for geology for some reason, all the other sciences have about 2/3 of their student population is female, or at least that's how they identify, and the rest are male. That's the way they say they identify. But I would like to hear from the students because, as I said, I'm just a white guy.
Well, something that I can mention is at New Paltz, we have a program called AC Squared. It's through CSTEP. You may have heard of it in like high school or something. And so I'm a part of that program, and it's really for underrepresented minority students as well as economically disadvantaged students. and that are kind of going into the STEM field, any kind of STEM degree. So you kind of have a community there of people to they have like tutoring there. They loan out textbooks. So I've never had to purchase a textbook. I kind of just get them through there. They set you up with like medical conferences. They do scholarships. I've gotten research opportunities through it. So it's a really good program here. Yeah, that's what I wanted to say in terms of like diversity, kind of finding like a little niche that, it's people like you and you kind of see yourself represented back, which I think is really nice.
2 thumbs up for C-STEP. And for STEP, we work with the high school kids too.
I don't know what that is.
That was a good question.
What else? There are other people here that could field that.
I think there could be, I personally, I within at least the biology department and like the biology and chemistry department, I don't think it is very diverse. However, if you are looking for, like your people and a group of friends that you can, relate to and bond with, I will say for at least the student body, it's more diverse than the faculty. I would say it like that. Sorry. And there are a bunch of different clubs that you can join that are, focused, centered on different cultures, different ethnicities. And so through that, I feel like if you ever do find yourself, feeling a little bit lonely or not feeling identified, you can definitely look through some of the different clubs that we offer. And I think you could definitely find your place here.
I look forward to my invitation to the South Asian dinner every year. So
One day. One day. You can come always. We always invite you.
I haven't been invited in years, but it used to be my favorite thing to go to.
When COVID's over.
I know.
Well, I guess you guys know how to contact us. Dr. Mass, you want to put that contact info back up? Or not?
You know what? It's
a trick question. It's you guys should know how to find us. So go to our website. Remember, we're both in biology, but you can search for our names under the directory or whatever, or just go to the biology page and look for faces that you recognize, and send us an email. Or you can even email a chair of a department if you're interested in specifically, for example, chemistry or biochemistry, something like that, and you want to hear it from someone other than us, that's fine. Our email, we answer email, we don't answer the phone very often.
I don't think I've answered the phone since Ronald Reagan was president, but
I don't think I've seen my phone since I moved into my office. I think the computer's sitting on it, but anyway.
I'm happy to.
I mean, I got my mobile phone, but my office phone, I don't look at.
Anyway, I want to thank the students, the prospective students and the families. And I really want to give a shout out to the 5 existing students who came to this meeting and provided, valuable input, and as well as warm bodies to fill the screen up. Because it would have really sucked if it was just 3 people. So thank you to all of you. And if anybody has questions, please. And if you want to talk to students without Nolan and Mass in the room, I totally get that. Send me an email and I'll send you a list of contacts. And you can ask them the things that you didn't feel comfortable asking in front of the 2 old guys.
And I think it's important. If you have any questions, you should take that opportunity. I think our students will be honest.
Oh, and you know what? I think it's important to say this, even though I'm putting my job at risk again. We don't have a very good unified orientation system for pre-med. So you'll all be coming to different orientation sessions. And don't expect that you're going to be intelligently put in a cohort with other people that have self-identified as pre-med. Make friends, meet people, do the things that they have you do. And then I'll try to have an icebreaker for pre-meds in September so that we can try to build some esprit de corps and get you guys all together in one room. Okay? I think that's accurate. Wouldn't you existing students say that? All right. So if I need a letter of support to keep my job, I'm just going to ask one of you to.
I think you're okay. I think we aren't quite sure how it's going to happen. We're doing things a little differently because of the pandemic, but we did things a little differently last time because of the pandemic, and we're doing things a little differently from that. We're trying to learn from our previous experience. And so it's definitely different than anything we've done before. So we have no idea how it's going to work out. But if you do have any questions after your orientation, you're going to see an advisor and they're going to pick classes and everything like that. But if they can't answer questions about pre-med issues and you have questions, just definitely send us an email or give us a shout out.
Absolutely. It was a pleasure to meet you all.
Thank
Caitlin,
you.
Caitlin, I'll send you an email in 5 minutes. All right. Goodbye,
Diana.
everyone. Goodbye, Diana.
Thank you.
Thank you. Goodbye.
All right. I'm going to end the meeting.